NASCAR Richmond Toyota Owners 400. Happy Easter, guys. We got a good show for you. Sunday morning. Let's do it. What is up, guys? Welcome to the Edge DFS. My name is Tyson Smith, joined by Sterling Theiss and Ryan Mahle from Dynasty DNA. What is up, guys? Ryan, a surprise edition. We were going to do this show on Saturday night. We pushed it to Sunday morning. What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Not too bad. How's everybody doing? Happy Easter to all.
Yeah, you're pulling an all-nighter there, Ryan, huh? You just got off of work, rolling right into it, huh?
Ready to talk some NASCAR, go home and sleep a little bit, then watch the race.
Yep, awesome. Sterling, what's up with you, man? You this week leading up to this race, you were pretty excited about Richmond. You have a pretty good feel for how this, how you think this is going to go down. What are your thoughts on this? Why are you so into this race, and what do we need to know about this particular track?
This is just a track that I typically have good DFS days at. And it's just, I don't know, it always runs long, runs green, limited cautions. Usually it's just stage cautions, really. So pretty easy to kind of pinpoint how it's going to play out. You just got to find that right dominator, which I think will be able to put you on.
Yeah, the bad thing is Draftkings made it so hard this week.
They did.
They made it hard.
Priced all them Toyotas up, which I did not expect to see Ty Gibbs at 10K just yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Toyota Owners 400. I mean, we got to have a Toyota winner, right?
Yeah, that's what I said on the podcast. I was like, I don't want to put my tinfoil hat on, but I did throw a bunch of money on just the Toyota manufacturer winner. So just overall Toyota manufacturer winner.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into this. I'm going to jump into some graphics here. Let's look at just a wide view of this slate as far as, Vegas lines, just starting out. So Kyle Larson's up at the top there. Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, Danny Hamlin, Ty Gibbs. What jumps out to you about these odds? Anybody that you're a little curious about, or anybody that jumps out to you with some long odds that you might be interested in throwing a couple bucks on?
Good. Let me take a look.
I don't mind Brad Keselowski or Chris Buescher. They're both at plus 1,300. Those are the RFK cars. They have been extremely fast here at Richmond over the past couple seasons. And I actually pointed out to Ryan here last year when we came here to Richmond for the summer race that Chris Buescher was plus 8,000. So we hopped on that, and he actually came out and dominated that race.
Damn.
So that was a pretty nice day.
He did. Yeah, I mean, I do like those odds. I do like you said, Buescher at 1,300, Hamlin at plus 750. I don't feel like is good enough value.
It kind of sucks to see Alex Bowman down to plus 1,600 because we called him out on the Rattled Cage podcast earlier in the week. He opened, I want to say, at plus 4,500.
Yeah, you did. Joey Logano was plus like 2,200 or plus 2,000, I think, and he's down to 1,300. So there was value at the beginning of the week, but of course after it's a risk, obviously, because it can go one way or the other. But yeah, there was value at the beginning, but I think they're kind of caught up a little bit. I don't really see anything else that really sticks out. Chase Elliott starting second, he's plus 1,500. I don't know if I'm in on Elliott, but we weren't in on Byron last week, and
yeah,
Chase Elliott starting second, so I mean, very well could outjump Larson at the start, and maybe he dominates for a little bit and gets lucky. Not. I hope not either, because I didn't really play much of them. But some top 10 odds. I mean, Gilliland starting. What's he starting? Sixth?
Yeah.
He's still plus 650 for a top 10. I mean, it's doable, definitely.
He was fast in practice. He definitely had top 10 speed in practice. So, I would not even be afraid to bet him top 5 at plus 2,500.
Yeah.
He has a good pit stall, too. So,
So that might not be a bad one. I know I bet Austin Dillon at plus 350 before qualifying. Now he's down to plus 550. Like me and Sterling always say, these RCR cars are good at strategy. Plus 550, I think that's kind of a steal too. Like they could go long, they could go short. They do like to mix things up, and that could, for plus 550, I would throw a little bit on that. I might throw a little bit more. Like I said, I got him for plus 350, and now I'm kind of biting it. Now he is my fade, but
yeah, I'm sitting here. I'm like, you're betting him top 10, but you're gonna fade him in DFS.
Yeah. So like, I feel like he has to play strategy to get in the, you know what I mean? He has to play strategy. He's not gonna, I don't think, get up there without strategy. So you're banking on something to happen. So that was my reason. I was gonna get there. That was my reasoning there. But plus 550, I think that's a decent price.
Hey, you're doing a little hedge. It's all good. So yesterday I was pretty deep into UFL and stuff. I didn't get to watch practice and qualifying and everything. What jumped out to you about that? Obviously, it looks like Kyle Larson's up there up front. What really jumped out to you about any of that stuff from yesterday there? I know that Ryan, you were working and stuff, but Sterling was deep into it. Sterling, what were your thoughts? What jumped out to you?
Martin Truex is what jumped out at me. He his lap averages they did not appear to be very good, but if you break it down lap by lap, he was actually the fastest car in practice. And that speed really kind of just came on later in the runs too, which I think is what we're going to see. I think we see Kyle Larson go out, lead a majority of this stage 1, and then come stage 2, it becomes Martin Truex.
Yeah, it was one group faster than the other because I don't know why NASCAR does this group.
Group A was faster.
Group A was faster. Okay. So I was wondering about that.
Why do they do that? Like, as an outsider, it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. It's always one group's faster than the other or something. Because, I mean, obviously the track's going to change once rubber gets put down and stuff. And, yeah, I couldn't answer that. I think it's dumb, but...
Yeah, it definitely is dumb. I'd rather see every car out there for an hour straight.
Yeah, and let these guys have a fair, but like, Group A is always faster than Group B, or Group B is faster than Group A.
I think they do it, though. Their excuse is that way if a car wrecks, there's more space on the track, so teams aren't wasting money. I think that's just a bullshit excuse, though.
So... Yeah. What about these pit stalls here? Like, what jumps out to you? It looks like Larson got probably the best one. Like, strategy for this race particular, how important are these?
It's definitely important here. We're going to see a lot of cars end up lap down by the end of the race, and I want to go for like guys like Kyle Larson, obviously, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, which I'm not going to be big on him this week, but I do like his pit stall. Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, Ty Gibbs, Martin Truex, and Todd Gilliland. Those guys are going to be able to get into their stall easy, nobody parked in front of them. And then they have an open space in front of them, so when they exit their stall, they can just hammer down and get out.
Yeah, and I think it is worth noting that this track does wear tires out, so I think anytime there typically isn't a bunch of cautions here, but anytime there is a caution, these cars are going to be on pit road.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So we're going to see a lot of...
They do have 9 sets of tires. I mean, if there's a caution and they could use all 9, they're going to use all 9. Like a lot of tracks, tires don't wear out, and they could, run a set of tires for 150 laps, but here's not the case. So
we're going to see a lot of strategy when it comes to that, when these guys pit and, getting new tires. And, Sterling, we were talking before the show, it seems like huge advantage for the guys who are on fresh tires right off the bat. Like, could we see some weird stuff going on with that?
Yeah, I would say stage 1 is going to be interesting because you can run the entire stage without making a stop for fuel. But stage 2 and the final stage, you're going to have to stop once for fuel. So we're going to see these guys obviously take tires on that stop, but I'm wondering if some of these guys will turn that into a 2-stop stage instead of 3-stop, then kind of run these stages in thirds. Because if they can get I want to say stage 2 is 150 or 160 laps. So if you split those and pit 50, 50, 50,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to cut into a lot of time on these guys on older tires. It's going to be interesting to see.
So make sure you guys are in the Dynasty DNA Discord. Sterling already has his write-up done and up. That is must-see TV every week as far as just checking that write-up, checking out that write-up. It's been huge for me, very helpful. It's free. The Discord's free, the write-up's free. So jump in there. I don't know how long that's going to last, so you guys might want to take advantage of that while you still can. As far as this weather, so what do we need to know about this? Like, how much is this going to screw things up if there is a little bit of sprinkle, a little bit of rain going on here? Like, what are your thoughts on that, guys?
So, in NASCAR, they have to get to the halfway point for the race to be official. If they would rain it out, Sterling, I actually didn't know this. Sterling said that they are running a damp tire. You said,
yeah, a damp tire. It's not a wet tire. So if it rains, they can take the heat dryers out there, get it a little dry, get the puddles off, and then throw these damp tires on, and they'll send them out there on a wet track, but they won't send them out there while it's raining.
If we're getting closer to lock tonight, what is it, 7:15 or something like that? If we're getting closer to lock and we're seeing, oh shit, it looks like it's going to rain a little bit more than we expected, does your strategy change at all?
The only thing that would change for me is the fact that I might have more interest in Christopher Bell, just for the simple fact that we would not have as many Dominator points in, so then his place differential is going to be a lot bigger than it would be if we run an entire race.
I think another thing that I actually just thought of, so like these guys that already have a win, like Christopher Bell, William Byron, trying to name guys off the top of my head here. Who else has won? William Byron, Larson. These guys might play a little bit different strategies because they don't necessarily have to. Basically, the NASCAR playoffs, if you don't know, it's like if you win, you're in the playoffs. So, like, obviously, if you didn't win, you're trying to go for a win. But if you've already won, you can kind of roll the dice a little bit more and go kind of off the rails. So it's like, you kind of saw that last week in COTA where Christopher Bell stayed out and just got an extra stage point. Because if you win a stage, you get so many playoff points. So that might come into play in Richmond. It's like, if people go one way, Christopher Bell might say, hey, I might go the other. If it wins, if it works, it works. If it don't, oh, well, I'm already in the playoffs. So Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, So
yeah, interesting.
I might be a little bit more in on Bell now that I say that.
All right, guys, you guys
Bell already proved that last week.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to chat about here before we get into this breakdown? We do have Sterling's write-up up, and we'll also have SaberSim open. Anything else to chat about here?
No.
All right, let's get into this breakdown. Let's do it. Break it down. All right. So we've got. Let me see here. Sorry, guys. Fired as producer. All right, so let's just start before we actually let's look at positioning here, just to start. So Larson, 10.2K, Elliott 2. Ross, Chastain 3. It looks like 2 to 6. All guys 9K or under, and then we get up to Truex at 10.8K. Ty Gibbs at 10K. Thoughts on the top 10 here? And Danny Hamlin is expensive. There's a lot of dudes that are priced up on this. Is just looking. What's gonna be your strategy for the top 10 guys here? Are you sticking with are you going after one guy? Are you playing in 2 of these dudes in a lineup, or are you just gonna spread yourself out quite a bit? Like, what jumps out to you here when it comes to positioning?
Yeah, me personally, I have a lot of Larson. I don't know whether it'll bite me. I have a lot of Larson, a lot of Martin Truex. Elliott, I faded. I don't know. I just don't think he'll stick around. I could be wrong on that. I don't know how Sterling feels about that.
I feel the same way on Elliott.
Okay, Larson, like I said, I do have a lot of, just because it seems like when Larson starts up front and has a fast car, he does seem to kind of pull it off. The 3 through 6 guys, I'm not really super high. I know Bubba's only 8% owned. I might be a little bit over on that, but I'm not super high on Bubba. But Truex I'm in on just because he does. I don't have the stat. Well, actually, I knew this stat, but the last 4 night Richmond races, he's won 3 of them and finished second in the other one. So when it comes to night at Richmond, he does know how to get around.
Yeah, he seems to be one of them guys. It doesn't matter what track it is. If it's a night race, he's dominated.
Yeah. So I'm kind of in on, and then I don't know the exact stat on his paint scheme, but when he runs the auto owners paint scheme.
Yeah, that's everybody's been hitting on that this week. I feel like Truex is going to be very high owned just because of his paint scheme.
Looks like ownership. Looks like Kyle Larson. This. I'm looking at SaberSim here. Some of the ownership, there's discrepancies between the different sites, but looks like Larson's probably going to be up there. With Christopher Bell, Keselowski, Josh Berry, Truex, Buescher, Tyler Reddick. That's kind of your top amount of guys that are highest owned. Top projected guys. Looks like Christopher Bell's up there. Larson, Truex, Keselowski, Hamlin, Buescher, those kind of guys. So we're seeing similar names here. These guys that are projected high are probably going to be pretty high owned. Denny Hamlin is looking like he's maybe coming in under 20%, but I don't know. What are you guys seeing on your end for that?
Seeing Hamlin right around 23%. Christopher Bell, highest owned, then Larson, Buescher, Logano, Blaney, Keselowski. Truex is like the 10th highest owned for us over here.
Interesting. Got it. All right, let's pull up your breakdown here, or your write-up. I'm going to sort by salary, and let's just kind of use this as a guide. If you guys want a copy of this and you want to read deeper, we're not going to read every little thing here, but make sure you, like I said, jump in that Dynasty DNA Discord in the NASCAR channel. This will be posted. Sterling's SRT 41, and Ryan, your muscles, right? On Discord?
Yep.
Cool. All right, so let's go through it, man. Denny Hamlin, 11.2K. He's the most expensive on the slate. Christopher Bell is 11K. Let's talk about these guys briefly and anything that jumps out. Truex, 10.8K. Let's talk about these dudes that are really expensive and kind of what are your thoughts on them and who you kind of with and against.
Like I said, I like Christopher Bell. You can get a little bit of place differential with him too. And also, I mean, he's ran good at Phoenix and Coda, and it's like the same package, same tire actually as we're running in Phoenix. And we saw him win Phoenix by over 6 seconds, which, in NASCAR is pretty good. I mean, obviously in Formula One, that's nothing, but in NASCAR, that's doing something. So I think I'm going to be high on Christopher Bell. Denny Hamlin and Truex, I do sprinkle in a few of them. Basically, I don't know how Sterling's building, but basically, I was picking 2 of them and then building the lineup around 2 of Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Truex, Larson, and I think that was it. Basically in that range.
Yeah, that's pretty close how I built, except I went super heavy on Martin Truex. I kind of actually ended up really light on Christopher Bell, and that's for the simple fact that I think he has to dominate this race, and I don't know if I see that. He's clearly had the fastest car in this package, but starting 29th is going to make it a little tough.
Yeah, he could go a lap down quick, but I mean, obviously, you could always make that up, but that could play into it because I mean this is a 3/4 mile, so he's going to start probably half a lap behind the leaders or a quarter of a lap behind the leaders. So, he could get past quick.
You think
so? Truex, like I said, has always been dominant here. So I'm kind of with Sterling. Like I think Larson and Truex are my 2 highest owned in this group.
You think Christopher Bell will stay away from Kyle Busch in this race?
Yeah, I think so. I think he learned his lesson last week. Unless Kyle Busch pays him back, you never know. He didn't he say who paying him back?
It wouldn't surprise me, but I think Bell is, if he sees that number 8 car, he's gonna stay away for sure.
Oh yeah.
You got a dad talking to. William Byron at 10.5K. Didn't hear his name brought up too much. Thoughts on him?
I saw a blurb where he said he really liked this car in practice, but I didn't see where. I don't have the lap breakdowns like Sterling does, but just from what I saw, I didn't really see that he was that fast in practice.
He was all right in practice, but it's just he's not someone I'm looking to get a whole lot of because I feel like there's just other better plays in that price range.
So let me get this straight. So Truex, his history at this track is a big reason why you guys are really into him, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Who's next here? Kyle Larson, obviously, he's going to be projected high. He's going to probably be pretty high owned. He's starting up front there, 10.2K. What do you think your exposure is going to be to him?
I'm definitely over on him. I don't know how Sterling feels, but
yeah, I ended up right around 40 to 45% of him. He won this race last season and finished 5th in the 2022 spring race. So he hasn't finished inside the top 20 in the 2 fall races, though. But I think that's just a completely different weather. So, but he's got 18 career starts and 2 wins here, 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and 17 top 20s. He's led 185 laps at Richmond. And then their 4 next gen races, he's led 2 of them for 11 and 93 laps. He's averaging 20 fastest laps here, and he was by far one of the fastest in practice.
When it comes to these, I'm seeing, it's hard to see on because I have the background's blacked out, but you see these guys that are in kind of black. Those are the Fords. So I forgot to mention, obviously Toyota is probably going to be one of these manufacturers we want to go after. But what about Chevy and Ford in this race? Does anything jump out to you as far as that goes?
Honestly, I was actually really surprised on how well Chevy unloaded. I really like going into like when we recorded the podcast pre-qualifying and practice. I honestly thought like we'd come out and it'd be Truex or Hamlin on the pole and Christopher Bell. Like I figured they'd all start top 5, but Chevy really came out and Larson on the pole, Chase Elliott second, Chastain's up there too, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's third or fourth. Yeah. That's what really stuck out to me. I was actually really surprised.
Yeah, top 4 spot.
So what are we thinking about Kyle Busch in 9,700? It seems like every week we're like, all right, are we fading him completely or are we going super massive heavy on him? What are your thoughts on it this week, or are you just kind of blah with him this week?
So I'm the biggest probably RCR fan, which is who like Kyle Busch runs for. And I think I'm fading him until like he proves something. I mean, I'm going to let him kind of prove me wrong, I think. Cause I'm like, I don't know. I know I've been past couple weeks fading him and he hasn't done anything, but he does get around Richmond good. But this year, just for some reason, there's just something amiss. He just like last week, he should have ran good because he got around Coda good and he didn't run good. So he hasn't really shown anything this year. I don't know how Sterling feels, but like I said, I mean, I root for the guy and I haven't saw it.
Yeah, I'm on the same page there. He's been consistent at Richmond, but he hasn't been dominating fast. So he didn't have any speed in practice either. So I'm not going to have any of Kyle Busch.
Yep, I don't either.
Copy. Kyle Busch fade. Buescher is 9,300. You guys brought him up a few times. What's your exposure like for him? Is that what do you think about his price? Just off the top of my head, seems like he's maybe priced up a little bit more than he usually is. Is that accurate, or am I wrong about that?
No, I think he is at that price and where he's starting. I think I have a little bit of him, but I don't have a whole lot. I don't know how Sterling feels, but
Yeah, I ended up right around the field for him, which is around 33%. But I think I don't know. I kind of feel like I want more of him. He's been in 3 of the 4 optimal lineups at Richmond in this next gen car, but he was a little bit cheaper in those. He did dominate this race last summer from the 26th position, I believe. And then in practice, I want to say he showed top 5 speed in practice. Yeah, he did. He fired off top 5 speed, and then towards the end of it, he was like top 5, top 3. So he definitely has the speed, and I can see him running top 5 by the end of this race and potentially leading some laps. So Chris Buescher is a guy. Like I said, I'm around 33% on him, and I kind of worry that that's not enough.
So are we just going to say Chase Elliott's going to be a fade, you think? He's starting second?
Yeah, I don't have any of them. I don't know how Sterling.
I've built most of my lineups, and I don't have any of him.
Chastain, I heard you guys talking about Chastain. He's 8,500. Tyler Reddick is 8,700. In this, we got Logano, Keselowski in this range here. Seems like Logano, based on the write-up, maybe is a fade option for you guys as well. But who else jumps out to you in this area? Obviously, we talked about Keselowski a little bit. He seems like he's going to be popular. It seems like you're probably going to have a decent amount of him, right?
Yeah, I love all of these guys from 8,200 down to 7,500. That's Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman, Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe, Josh Berry. I'm going to lump Chase Briscoe and Josh Berry together. They both drive for Stuart Haas Racing. They start 30th and 32nd. They both got loose in qualifying. They both had great practice speed. They both excel on this style of track, especially Josh Berry. He actually drove from 30th to 2nd in this race last spring, but he did get there through pit strategy. He was on a different pit cycle. He ended up with, I want to say, like 40 fastest laps and 20 laps led because of his pit strategy. But this is the style of track he excels on. Then Bubba Wallace, he's someone, just because of his ownership, they're around 9%. I'm going to be a little over on him just because we seen him dominate this race last summer, but then he got into some issues there and ended up not being able to finish as well. But he led 80 laps last summer, had 30 fastest laps in that race. I mean, he hasn't been great at Richmond, but he definitely shown that he's getting better the last time we were here. Then Alex Bowman, we've seen him. He's really come on over these last couple races, and he's usually been pretty good here at Richmond. We've seen him finish 4th and 4th again at Coder and Bristol. So he's definitely turned things on lately, and he was fast as fuck in practice. At 8,000, I think we can get Alex Bowman as a cheap dominator. Then you got Brad Keselowski starting 23rd, and I think he's a top 5 car. So starting 23rd, 8,200, top 5 upside. I see no reason to not play him.
Yeah, he should have won it last year.
Yeah, he led like 101, 102 laps last year.
And he overshot his pit stop or something, got a penalty. And
yeah.
So that's a guy I'm high on too.
So this range seems to be a nice little range here. How much, anybody else jump out to you, and what are we thinking about these lower price guys? I mean, how low are you going this week? It doesn't seem like there's a ton of dudes down super low that you're interested in as far as salary wise.
No, I wouldn't mind Mike McDowell because he had good speed in practice, and Todd Gillen, his teammate, qualified 6th. Then you got Austin Dillon. Wouldn't mind some of him. He's been pretty consistent here. He has 2 top 10s in the 4 next gen races. He's got 13 top 20s in his 19 career starts here. He did lead 56 laps here but that was all in one race back in 2020.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't mind Eric Jones at 6,600. Now, he didn't really show anything in practice, but he's one of them guys that when it comes to these high tire wear tracks, he knows what he's doing. He won it
Darlington twice. Yep.
Yeah, and that was for this same team. Now that was when they were a Chevy team, but going to Toyota, I think, is only a step forward for them. Ryan Preece, I don't have a lot of interest in him just because of his starting position, but he did finish 5th here in the most recent race, and he's got a lot of laps around here in a modified. I don't know how much that helps because they was drive completely differently, but I do like some Ryan Preece.
Yeah, I sprinkle a little bit of Ryan Preece and Eric Jones, like Sterling said. Those high wear tracks. Eric Jones is I kind of want to lump him into a veteran kind of a little bit. He does conserve his tires and stuff really well. So I've sprinkled a little bit of him. Yes, John Hunter. I don't have any of him. Do you?
No.
Cendric, no.
I don't really have any interest in Nemechek or Cendric.
No. Stenhouse, I sprinkled a few.
Yeah.
Yep.
But really, below these guys, pretty much the only guys I'm going to be playing is I'm actually going to have a fair amount of Todd Gilliland at 5,500 just because he's going to be practically unowned. And I think he holds on to a top 10 throughout this race. But my favorite play down here is Justin Haley.
Now going back to Todd Gilliland, I mean he could be. I mean we've seen it all year with him where he stays out and stuff too.
Yeah,
and he could get some laps led. He could get some cheap fast laps if he runs long. And like all these guys come in and pit, like let's say lap 50, he might stay out, pit on lap 70, and then he's going to have 20 laps fresher tires until the rest of the field pits. Like he does do a lot of that. So I do agree with Sterling. Like even if he does finish, let's say 15th or 20th,
yeah,
them fast laps or them, laps led could make up for that. So I will agree with that. So, and Justin Haley, I mean, starting dead last. I mean, and
he actually showed a ton of speed.
Yeah, he did. He did. I did notice that. I did look at that. So Justin Haley is a guy that, I mean, I know I said Larson and all of them were high owned, but he's pretty high owned too, just because of that. Starting dead last. I mean, he's got a safe floor.
Yeah, as of right now, my top 3 highest owned are Martin Truex, Brad Keselowski, and Justin Haley.
Wow.
Okay. I think mine are Larson, Truex, and Justin Haley.
So these cheaper guys, how many are you willing to put in the lineup together? Is this a max 1 sort of situation for these dudes like under 6K or whatever? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
That's the way I did it. Is that what you did, Sterling?
For the most part, yeah. I could see getting a limited amount of 2 of these guys, but I would not want to have more than 2 guys starting or priced under like 7K.
Yeah, because I mean, if you could get a Todd Gilliland and a Justin Haley, and then maybe you could, pair that with the Larson Truex. I don't know what that would leave you with, but I wouldn't mind seeing what you could build from there.
Yeah, I built a couple like that. I can't remember who it let me get in, but I want to say it was Truex and Larson and BK maybe.
Yeah, you could probably get a couple of them guys in that range then.
So
yeah,
what are we thinking about? By the way, is there anybody else you guys want to talk about before we get into these optimal lineups? And if not, what jumps out to you about these optimals in the past? Obviously, this is just a guide for us. This is, it's not gospel as far as, oh, well, last year this guy did this or this much salary is left on the table, but it's worth mentioning. It seems like, based off of this, it looks like we kind of want to get close to maxing out our salary. We don't have to leave a ton of money on the table. I don't know if we're setting any rules for that, but thoughts on these optimal lineups from the past for Richmond, and is this all Richmond? Oh, there's a Phoenix Sprint down here as well. What jumps out to you here?
Yeah, to be honest, I think especially with the way Draftkings priced it this week, I think you're going to have to pretty much spend close to, if not all your money I saw a tweet, and I was actually trying to find it when we were on air earlier, but I saw a tweet. Somebody posted last year's Richmond pricing, and there's only like 2 drivers above 10K, and there was like 5 drivers below 5K, and this year it's like what 7 or 8 above 10K. I don't have that number in front of me, but and then they had nobody below 4K, so it's just crazy how kind of hard. I don't want to say hard, but yeah, I mean I guess hard to try to find value and try to squeeze people in because the pricing's up. So, is there anything to add to that? I mean, as far as the optimal lineups, looks like what's weird is like summer 2023, the starting positions in green. Yeah. I mean, 5th is your Bubba Wallace starting up front. Like there's no pole setter there, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. Like Bubba Wallace was optimal starting 5th, and then it was all place differential from there. And even spring 4th, Ross Chastain.
Yeah, that's no one's from the pool has been optimal, but I did go back and look. Tyler Reddick, he led, I want to say 81 laps. He ended up with roughly 32 Dominator points in the race he led, but he dropped down to 16th, which would have gave him negative 16 fantasy points there. So that's why he wasn't optimal. And then the one that shocked me the most, I can't remember which race it was. I want to say the spring 2022 race. Ryan Blaney started on the pool, led 128 laps, finished 7th, and still was not optimal.
Oh, wow.
Now, we had some place differential in that race that really came through and got Dominator points and whatnot. So that definitely played a part in that, but really blew my mind that he led 128 laps, had like 30 fastest laps, finished top 10, and was not optimal.
Yeah, that is actually kind of crazy. It makes me want to rethink Larson, because I was like, oh yeah, Larson can go out and lead 100 laps even if you don't win. But oof, yeah. But like you said, there's a ton of place differential. I mean, there's some in here that could probably do it, but I mean, you had Bowman starting 28th that race. Yeah, and you had a little bit there. So
the thing that stuck out to me the most, though, was that pretty much 5 drivers in every lineup had damn near 10 or more Dominator points. So you're looking for guys that are going to at least get on a different pit cycle and get some fastest laps.
So let's talk about these. You have this in the write-up, the speedster points. Do you want to break this down for us and explain what that is and kind of get deeper into this?
These are just the laps led and fast lap points. Most people refer to them as Dominator or Hog points. I like to be a douchebag and refer to them as speedsters just because of my name. But you got 400 laps, so we're looking at 100 points available for laps led. And in the next gen races here, there's been 3, 8, 5, and 5 cautions for an average of 35 caution laps. Now, I went back through the last 10 cup races at Richmond, and there's been an average of 32 caution laps per race. So if you take that information, you can take away some of these fastest lap points, which will give us roughly 165.60 fastest laps. And if you add these together, you get 265.60 Dominator points up for grab. And we went back through and looked through the last 19 races. The pool sitter has led an average of 22% of the race. The front row has averaged 37% of laps led. Now, if you factor in the top 2 rows, that jumps up to 57% of the laps led. So I feel like we are looking for at least one Dominator starting inside the top 4, but I'm going to be looking for a minimum of 2 Dominators in every lineup. Those guys can come. Got a little Dom group down here. I'm not going to play all these guys, But these are the guys that I would have in my Dominator group, and I would set that at 2 to 4.
Yeah, so let's talk about groups here. So any other, this is awesome. Like, it's helped me a ton by setting groups just by getting different in general, and just keep making sure like the guys that I like are going to get where I want them to be, and not have to micromanage their exposures and their min exposures and maxes and all that stuff. It's helped me a ton. Like I said, if you guys want to check out this entire breakdown or this entire write-up, go into the Dynasty DNA Discord. Any other groups that you're thinking about? I know we mentioned maybe like a cheapo group, maybe maxing that to 1 or something. Any other mid-range type groups that you're making? Or is this particular race you're just kind of you're letting it roll a little bit more without the groups?
I'm probably going to let it roll a little bit more, but I don't mind the idea of making a punt group, like guys below 6,500, setting that at 0 to 2. And then I would not be against the idea of putting in Josh Berry, Briscoe, Bowman, Kozlowski, and Bubba Wallace. I would not be afraid to make a group of them and force at least one of them in.
Got it. Rankings here. I love how you did this for this for this write-up. 11.2K to 9.3K. These are in order the way you listed them, right? Of your favorites to least favorites.
Yep.
So Truex, Larson, Blaney, Busher, Hamlin, Bell, Gibbs, Byron, and Kyle Busch there in the last spot. You got in this 9K to 7.5K range, Keselowski, Bowman, Barry, Reddick, and Ross Chastain is kind of at the bottom of your list there. 7.3K to 6K, McDowell, Gregson, Dillon, and Suarez and Nemechek kind of at the bottom of the list there. And then, of course, you're talking about Haley. Hocevar, we didn't really talk about him a lot. Some of these value guys, and Zane Smith is probably at the bottom of your list there. Anything else to mention here with your rankings?
Not really, no. That's pretty much just how they are there.
So this is
listed
sorry, dude, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. I was just going to say you pretty much spot on there, listed by salary and in order of how I like them.
Yep. So this is, this is the juicy part of the write-up. The favorites, fades, under, value. Your favorites where you're going to be over the field: Kyle Larson, Truex, Blaney, Busher, Keselowski, Bowman, Barry, Gillen, and Haley. Favorites, like what, we talk about this with NASCAR a lot, is you kind of got to put your balls on the table and say, I'm going to go 60, 70, 80% with some of these guys. And if they crash, then my day's over, but you just got to do it sometimes. Is this a race where you're going that heavy? What's your top end exposure wise? Like, where are you capping out, or are you just embracing some of these best plays and letting them ride?
I got most of my builds done already, and I'm close to 80% on Truex, Keselowski, and I want to say I'm 70% on Justin Haley. So those are going to be, I want to say I do have them as my core, and I followed right through with that. Those guys are my top 3 owned, and I'm going, like I said, heavy as hell on them. But typically, I try to get 3 to 4 guys that I'm 50 to 70% on, and then just kind of mix in the rest.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do too. Yeah,
it seems like you got a tight core for this one: Truex, Keselowski, Haley. Muscles is Larson, Hamlin, Haley. So it seems like a tight core is in order for this. 70, 80% of those guys roll with it. If Haley completely crashes out or something, you might be screwed. But like I said, that's just the way we got to roll. Fades and unders. What jumps out to you here? Who's like who's your boldest take here that's going to be a higher owned guy in the fade category and the under category?
For me, that's hands down Joey Logano. I'm a full fade on him. He actually showed pretty good lap averages, but if you break it down lap by lap, he really was not that fast, and he's projected to be like closer to third owned, so around 30%. And I don't want to have anything to do with that.
Yeah, he's another guy that he's kind of in that Kyle Busch group, and I mean you'll probably agree with this, where it's like he has to do something for me to change it. I mean I'm kind of, unless his pricing for next week comes out at like 7,000 or something, I'm just Joey has to prove something to me.
Yeah, and he's really struggled this season.
He has. That's what I mean. Like he's in the Kyle Busch group. Kyle Busch struggled all year, and Joey Logano kind of has too. Other than Phoenix, he kind of showed a glimpse. But yeah, I'm full with you.
So values, Justin Haley, we keep talking about him, Burton and Gilly for large field GPPs. Do you guys want to talk about? Let's hit our crown their ass segment. You guys ready for that?
Yeah.
All right, so we're crowning their ass on DraftKings.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
So I think you guys are both going to be heavy Truex. Sterling's throwing out Keselowski. Any other thoughts on this and why you chose them?
Yeah, I mean, I chose Truex just because of the paint scheme, like we kept joking about. And then his, like I said, the last 4 Richmond night races, he's won 3 of them and finished second the other one. So he definitely knows how to get around here. So I honestly, I thought Sterling does have him in the core. So I tried to be a little bit different with my core than his core, because I am going to play a lot of my core, but I will have a lot of Truex too.
Yeah, I texted Ryan last night, asked him what his crown their ass was, and he said Truex. That's who I was gonna go with, but decided to switch that up to Brad Keselowski because he's starting 23rd, and like I said earlier, I think he's a top 5 car, and I'm very heavy on Keselowski and Truex. I really do think both of these guys are in the winning lineup.
Love it, dude. I love that. Let's jump into our lineup build. So throw us a like on this video. Let's get to 50 likes. We're doing a Sunday morning video for you guys instead of Saturday night. We'll probably be back on the Saturday night fix next week. Make sure you guys are in the Dynasty DNA Discord. If you guys are into UFL and want to see some of that content, we're also going to be doing a lot of that. I took some inspiration from Sterling and I started doing a write-up on UFL, so make sure you guys are in the Discord. If you guys want to join the YouTube membership for the Edge DFS, that's only $3.99 a month. You'll get that right up for UFL every week. And make sure you subscribe and check out these guys, their Rattled Cage podcast that they usually release like Thursday night, Friday morning ish. That's a huge help for me to get ready for just kind of, they talk Xfinity, they talk trucks, they kind of talk about what happened last week. They kind of get your mind around what to expect for the upcoming race. Obviously they're recording that before practice and qualifiers, but I think it's a very important piece for me for the week to get ready and kind of figure out and be ready for certain things during qualifying. All right, let's get into this lineup build here. So I think we you want to build a cash lineup first ish, and kind of set up what we think the field probably should be doing, and then we can pivot with a GPP build. Where do you want to start with cash?
Do we want to go with both of our crown their asses, or just go Truex and Keselowski?
Yeah, can we fit Bell in with that?
We could definitely try.
I feel like Bell is pretty much a must for cash.
Okay.
So we got 6,600 here. First spot, 3 left.
Do we want to go Haley and?
Yeah, might as well get him in. See what we got for salary.
So it leaves us 73. We want to go Josh Berry.
I definitely do want either Briscoe or Berry.
And then that leaves 72. So then you go McDowell.
I like that.
Do you like that?
I do.
Truex, Keselowski, Bell, Haley, Berry, McDowell as kind of like a chalky kind of build. Are you entering anything like this, guys, into the big GPP for 100K up top? You're probably not, right?
I have something close to it. Not quite like this, but pretty close, yeah.
So let's pivot. Let's talk about that big contest and your building lineups for that. Let's do it. You want to go Truex and Keselowski right off the bat, since you're pretty much locking those guys in for the most part?
Yeah.
All right, what's next? Any other fun strategies to talk about here? Leave some money on the table? Probably not. We probably want to max that out. Where are you going now?
Yeah, I don't think I've left more than 1,000 on the table. But since we're going full GPP build, let's go down there and get Todd Gilliland.
I like it.
Love
we
it.
need Jim Mora. You like, or no, Kirk Cousins. You like that?
You like that? What's next?
So what do we got? 84. Do you like Bowman at 8,000 as a pivot? What's
I fucking love Bowman, and I don't think anybody is going to play Bowman and Gilliland together.
That's true. That's a way to get different.
We got plenty of salary left. 8,700 for 2 spots. You want to get a big dog up here and then find value again, or we already got our value probably, right?
Yeah. What about like pivoting here and going Hamlin?
Right now with the 4 we on.
Yeah. What's that leave us? 6,300.
That could be Stenhouse, Hocevar, or Haley.
We could try. I mean, I don't think a lot of people will have Stenhouse. What's Stenhouse's ownership like?
It's got to be pretty low.
Yeah, I think a GPP. I think that's pretty.
16.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think anybody else is gonna have that lineup. What do you think?
I don't mind it.
Okay. Are you trying to pivot?
I was seeing what we could do with Bell. If we put Bell in, we could get to Ryan Preece. What's his ownership?
22. So who are you taking out then out of that?
I was just playing around. We can go with whatever.
Okay.
I pulled out Hamlin and put in Bell, and you can get to Preece. Obviously, that's 0 remaining.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's build another one. Let's start with Truex and Keselowski, and let's build another one here as we wrap this up.
Let's do one with Larson.
All
right.
3. We want to try all 3. Can we fit all 3?
I got a couple with all 3.
Okay.
Let's try.
Keselowski, Truex. Okay.
You going to Haley here?
Yeah.
7,700. So not too terrible, but we're gonna have to find somebody down here, near the bottom, probably at least one.
We could go Bowman and Barry, or we could go Briscoe and Barry, or really any of these 2 guys in this range.
Bowman, Barry. So we got one guy, Haley, in that 5,300 range. It's a pretty balanced build overall. If you look at salaries, it's not terrible. You got Truex, Keselowski, Larson, Haley, Bowman, Barry. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah,
I like that a lot because I think 5 of those guys can get dominator points. I think 3 of them, maybe even 4 of them, can lead a good portion of the race.
So what'd you guys learn? How do you guys feel about your builds? Interestingly enough, you guys have already built before the show, which is kind of nice. We have the write-up already out, which is huge. That's our guiding light, at least for me, for the slate typically. Any other tips, thoughts, anything that you ran into while you were building that kind of jumped out to you? Send us out with some wise words, guys.
Don't be afraid to play those cheap guys inside the top 10.
Yeah, that's a good note. Yeah, I have a ton of just of them 4 big ones, and then just kind of sprinkling. Just don't be afraid to make different lineups, I guess.
And don't be afraid to go heavy on certain guys.
I don't have any similar lineups. Like I got kind of creative on all of them. So
where are we at next week, guys?
Martinsville.
Oh,
We get Trucks Friday, Xfinity Saturday, Cup Sunday.
nice.
Make sure you subscribe, jump in their Discord, get that right up. We'll see you guys later. Throw us a like on the way out. We appreciate it. See you next week.
Yeah.